Hey everyone, welcome to the Royce Reports. I'm your host Royce, and today we're going to talk about the ID at Xbox event as well as the Tokyo Game Show. Now recently we've been bombarded with a lot of different game shows that have been currently going on. So with the D23 event, they ended up talking about a lot of the mobile games that Disney is currently working on, and they even showed off the Captain America and Black Panther game that's coming out. And then we had the Ubisoft event over the weekend, which talked about Assassin's Creed. So if you're an Assassin's Creed fan, the Ubisoft show was something designed specifically for you. And then earlier this week, we had a Nintendo Direct and a State of Play. I ended up walking out of Nintendo Direct thinking like one thing and one thing only.
For me, I really like corn.
What do you like about corn?
It's corn!
There was a lot of good things in Nintendo Direct. In fact, the Nintendo Direct was probably the best showcase out of all of these shows that have recently been going on. There was a lot of farming games, yeah, like way too many farming games.
I heard you were playing football.
Yes, well, we live a pie on our day. We live a pie on our day. Yes. Why now?
But they did show off a lot of upcoming games like Fire Emblem, a new Kirby game that's, well, a remake of an old Kirby game, and they ended the show with the next Legend of Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom. I'm a huge Zelda fan. I love the Zelda games, so I'll definitely be diving into that. I wasn't a big fan of Breath of the Wild. I know that's a hot take. I enjoy most of the Zelda games, and so I think the Nintendo Direct was a really well-paced, well-timed event, and it had a lot of good things. So Sony ended up coming out with the State of Play, and at the State of Play they showed off their big upcoming game, God of War Ragnarok, which is probably the most looked forward to game at the end of this year. I've never really played the first God of War, so I'm going to be playing that, and I'm going to be also playing the God of War Ragnarok game. And subscribe if you want to see those reviews and if you're interested in what I think about those games. Now, when it comes down to the State of Play, I don't think God of War actually stole the show. In fact, I think it actually went to the Ronin game and the Stellar Blade. These games look phenomenal. The Ronin game looks like a mixture between Ghost of Tsushima meets Assassin's Creed, which is weirdly enough what Ghost of Tsushima is also called. It's like a better Assassin's Creed game. Well, this looks like a mixture of both of those. And the Stellar Blade, which was previously known as Project Eve and was supposed to be coming out to all consoles, is now being produced by Sony. So they're making it exclusive to their platform, and they changed the name. So it looks phenomenal, though. I was blown away by the trailer, and I am looking forward to playing that. And then the other games that they showed off were other games that you could have expected to be there, that were already shown off at the Nintendo Direct, and they just kind of did the same thing, showed the same trailers. All right, something else that was at the PlayStation show was Hogwarts Legacy, and Hogwarts Legacy looks like a fantastic game, and I'm super excited to get involved with it. But one thing that they just also showed off was an exclusive story mission or side mission being in the PlayStation version, and this exclusivity for this mission is going to be there for a whole year. And I hate when Sony does this shit. This is so anti-consumer, anti-competitive. It is such a stupid fucking model that they do. They do this with a bunch of games.
Oh, that's not so much. So?
They did those deals before Xbox owned them, but still, Xbox owned games aren't even coming to the platform day and date because Sony has these 1 year timed exclusives. And I'm looking at you, Final Fantasy 7. When the fuck are you coming to Xbox? So there was that. And then now we get into the ID at Xbox and the Tokyo Game Show that Xbox was at. And I got a lot of things to say about these things. So let's get into it. All right, so ID at Xbox. So this event is an event that's dedicated to showing off indie games that are supposed to be coming to the Xbox platform. And these developers normally don't have the money to show off these games. And a lot of people don't really know these games are ever coming. So this event is dedicated to those people who are trying to get into the gaming business and are producing these small indie games. The issue with the indie games at the show is that when you watch this show, you're looking forward to seeing what's on the horizon and finding out about the game. But they don't do a good job at selling these games at all. Terrible how they try to show these games off. Last year at the ID at Xbox event, that show was over 3 hours long. 3 hours long. And you're thinking, oh man, that's probably a lot of games, right? No! There was no games. It was just them talking the whole time about the game. They would have a developer come on and just talk about how boring this development of this game is. And this is not something that you're supposed to be doing, right? That's something that you have after the show for games that people are kind of interested in. So if they have an indie game and it shows off well, all right, let's go get the developer. Let's have a developer interview and let's post this after the fact, not during the fact. It's like you walking into a movie theater and they have director's commentary while you're watching a movie. You you want to experience it without that stuff. And this is not how you do it. And the fact that it was 3 hours long and they didn't even show that many games in the first place, it was absolutely mind-boggling. It is just mind-boggling. And so this year they promised, hey, you know what? We're not going to be as long. We're not going to be 3 hours long. Don't worry. We are getting a better team of people to show these games off because the people that they had were Twitch streamers. And these Twitch streamers had no idea what they were doing. They were not professionals. They were not hosts. They are random people you get on the internet who normally play video games. And then you get these people and you tell them to talk about video games that they normally don't play. Wow, that's a great idea, you fucking idiot. That's stupid. It's fucking stupid. And so they changed that this time. They're like, we know that last one wasn't very good, so this one is going to be different. And so what did they do different this time? Well, they made it shorter, and they said 90 minutes. They said 90 minutes. This show was about 2.5 hours of the same exact problem, and it sucked. So, and again, this time they got one host instead of multiple, which was nice. And I do think he did a great job trying to get the developers to talk about their game and trying to ask them questions. And he did an okay job. It's just that the way the show opened, I immediately was thrown off because they got these girls to come in together and play this game called Evil. Evil is a game that's supposed to be similar to Among Us, and it's their own take on Among Us and that whole survival type, trying to find the murder type game. And so they have these girls go and play this game. The thing is, they had no idea what they were doing.
You want to get gritty? No. So
we're leaving?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave. We're gonna leave the session.
Okay.
And we'll try it again.
It's as if they never even got told that they were playing this game, and then they were handed the game. You saw people trying to figure out the controls.
Electricities and stuff? I did electricity. Yeah, wait, where are you?
What is this? I forgot about the... Oh my days.
Oh my god.
Didn't know what was going on or how the game was supposed to be played. Were talking over each other, so you couldn't understand what anyone was saying or doing.
Wait. How do we get there? Where's town hall? Here's town hall.
Wait a minute. I gotta be there fast. I'm gonna be late.
Oh, we can't see where other people are either. Okay.
Because they wouldn't shut up and they would just constantly talk over one another. And this showcase of the game was so bad. It was so bad. It made me not want to play this game. And this game's supposed to be dropping in the Gamepass next month. So I feel bad for the developers because this game can probably be pretty fun if they showed it off properly, but they didn't. And they ended up shooting themselves in the foot because of the fact that they got a bunch of people who didn't know what was going on play this game. So after that, they immediately went into the Skybound games that are coming into Game Pass, which they showed a trailer for. So you're getting games like Homestead Arcana, Walking Dead, the final season, Rainbow Billy, and The Big Con. These games are all going to be dropping in Game Pass at some point. With The Walking Dead, this is the final season of The Walking Dead, and this is finally being added to Game Pass. And if you have a Game Pass account, that means that all of the Walking Dead Telltale games are now included with your Game Pass subscription. Then they went into the Call of the Wild, The Angler, which is not an indie game. I don't care what anyone says, this game is not indie. It is actually produced by Avalanche Studios, which are the guys that did Just Cause and The Hunter, which are all at least AA or AAA games. This game is just a spin-off of The Hunter, which is also available in Game Pass. You fish. Go figure, right? You go and you fish. They have a developer interview here, and all they talk about is how the fish respond to fishing. Like about how the temperature is, the pH of the water, the day and night cycle, all this stuff that you as a player don't really care for. They went into detail about that. And that was a pretty long segment. One game that actually surprisingly stole the show for me was Born of Bread. Born of Bread looks absolutely phenomenal. This game is definitely inspired by Paper Mario, and the developers flat out say that it is inspired by that. But because Nintendo hasn't really done anything with the IP and haven't made it like they used to, they're kind of like trying their best to make it like the old classic Paper Mario, which is this game blew me away. And the exploration aspect to it, the characters look really cute, which is I don't like using that description, but the characters are really cute. It's just different. It's just a nice different game. I am looking forward to this one. I don't know if it's coming to Game Pass. They didn't really say, but it's supposed to be coming out next year. And this is definitely a game I'm going to be looking out for. And then they showed off Spider Heck. Spider Heck, again, they had the host this time play it. And oh my God, they did not know what they're doing. They just spent, when they first had the controllers in their hand, they spent trying to show off that they were playing it live as if anyone would have cared. And then they didn't even know what they were doing. And they just would give commentary on it and not really show the game off in a very good light. And the game looks just not fun. It doesn't look like a fun game. It is coming out. It is coming out soon. It's not dropping into Game Pass. But Spider Heck is a game. Indeed. Yes, it's a game. They announced Song of Iron 2. So Song of Iron is another indie game that I think was made by one person, and it was a huge deal. I heard nothing but great things about it. I haven't played it myself, but I heard it's a really good game. And now they have announced Song of Iron 2, which looks a lot like the first one. So if you like the first one, I bet you're going to like this one as it continues the story. Then they showed off a game called Shoulder of Giants, and this was... So then they showed off a game called Shoulder of Giants, which is a roguelite game. It looks okay. It has, you play as a frog on top of a robot, and the frog and robot are like they're teaming up to take on these enemies. There is a co-op element to it, which I thought was pretty cool. Is they have 4-player co-op, so you'll be able to play with 4 people, drop in, drop out type thing. They'll all have their own frog and robot. But there's also a different, unique co-op aspect to it where you have one person play as the frog and one person play as the robot as they go around doing stuff. That's pretty cool. It's a little different take on a co-op experience. But I don't know if this game is coming to Game Pass. It didn't say it's coming to Game Pass specifically. But this is another game that showed off at ID at Xbox. So Metal Hellsinger is a game that is pretty much, I've talked about before. It is available in Game Pass. You can play it right now if you wanted to. It is a game that's like a Doom meets a rhythm game where you have to kill enemies, shoot, reload, all this stuff based off of a rhythm. And it's all metal music. And they have some pretty famous metal artists involved with it. So look out for that game. It is in Game Pass, and you can play it right now. They talked about Moonscars. Moonscars looks like a Castlevania meets Souls type game. It looks really cool, but the developer interviews, they looked as if they did not want to be there. They did not give two shits about being at this show. They did not know how to sell this game. They didn't know how to talk. I'm glad that the game sells itself, because these developers are so monotone and just don't.
I want you to finish your thought, but at the same time, I'm looking on the screen, and everyone else is going to point this out too. I see a cat, all right? And as a cat owner, this is very important to me. Stefan, I saw your reaction, all right? This is very important. Cats are super important. We got to know right away, what is the interaction with the cat, and of course, can you pet the cat?
About letting, if you can pet the cat, I guess the bigger question is if the cat will let you too.
Ooh.
But the way how you can interact, it basically, it tells you a lot of bits of stories. It helps you along your way in your quests. And if you find the items that he is looking for, then he will, you can exchange it with him. For different helpful things for you. So yeah, the cat actually is a companion for the most part of the game. So not really a companion, but a character that appears a lot. So
you are 100% describing an actual cat.
Like, give this guy a fucking energy drink. Like, holy shit, do something. God damn, they did not sell the game at all. I'm glad that the game looks good. And that is also dropping in the Game Pass. They showed off Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, which is produced by Ilphonic, who these guys are best known for their work on the Friday the 13th game. This is like a 5-player co-op game, I think. So one person is the ghost that is being hunted, and the 4 other people are the Ghostbusters. They had a developer come on and talk about this, and that guy was probably the most charismatic of all the developers that showed up that day. And they ended up playing a portion of the game where the host was again playing, but there's like a common theme of not knowing what the fuck is going on. And so half the time this guy he was shooting at nothing. He was not knowing any of the controls. The developer actually had to stop and tell him which button on the controller to press. And because the developer was playing the ghost, he would just stand there and let the guy try to like capture him. But even though he was trying to let this guy capture him, the guy couldn't even do that. He couldn't even You Suck at Parking, that game is also available now in Game Pass, and they showed a little snippet of it if you're interested in that. I'm not interested in the game. It looks like a game you just kind of hop into and hop out, play for like 10 minutes maybe just to see what it's about. It looks very gimmicky. Valheim, which is a big PC game that came out last year that was being celebrated by a lot of people and has really took over the indie scene by storm. Is now getting a PC Game Pass release with a Xbox Game Pass later next year sometime. They showed off City Skyline, so if you are into city building games, that's what they had there. Yinglet is a soothing type game. It seems like a game that has no real point to it. The way they described it was a platformer without platforms, and you just kind of bounce around with really soothing music. This game looks like a game that you just don't really spend a whole lot of time in. Maybe just try it out if you're bored or waiting for something. Then they talked about Turnip Boy. Turnip Boy, which is a Game Pass game that came out earlier this year, which actually received a lot of praise, and I heard a lot of good things for Turnip Boy Evades Tax Evasion. This is a sequel or a spin-off of sorts where it's Turnip Boy robs a bank, and it's kind of a mix between the Turnip Boy game that was previously released and Hotline Miami. So it kind of has this weird shooting element to it. It's a different take on the game. It's a different trajectory for a sequel, definitely. But a lot of good things. I heard a lot of good things from the first Turnip Boy. So it's cool that they're working with the developer again to have the sequel also come to Game Pass. And then they talked about Let's Cook Together 2, which they showed off a little cooking simulator that is kind of... It's a cooking simulator that you've seen before. It is just them taking their own take on it, and it looks like every other cooking game you've ever seen. If you love farming, you're gonna really love Nintendo, and now you're gonna love Xbox because Amazing Cultivation Simulator is gonna be dropping on Xbox Game Pass. Oh, actually, correction. going to be dropping on PC Game Pass. I don't know what it is about farming and why it's so intriguing to a lot of people right now, but oh my god, there's so many farming games. If I was a fucking farmer, I would be super stoked, but I'm not. I'm a normal fucking person who plays video games, and farming is not something that I look forward to doing. And even if it was, you might be like, okay, cool, I'm looking forward to this one farming game. But even at the fucking event, the Nintendo Direct event, there was like 5 different farming games, and here they showed off 2 different farming games. So I'm glad that the State of Play didn't show off any farming games, and I'm glad that the Tokyo Game Show didn't. But the way that you started it off with farming and you're ending it with farming, like, come on, man. This event dragged, and it was not a fun thing to watch. It sucked that I sat there for 2.5 hours watching this, so way I could fucking be disappointed by every single thing that came out except for Born of Bread. So Tokyo Game Show is I have mixed feelings about it. I'm gonna start off by saying that Xbox is doing good, right? It's doing good. It is selling well in Japan now because of them losing their foothold with the Xbox One generation, them not really caring and kind of wanting to sunset the whole Xbox platform. They kind of stopped trying, and because of that, you had a lot of these games choose not to go to the Xbox platform because no one in Japan, no one in Asia was really buying those games. They instead were going to be buying them on Nintendo platform or the PlayStation. And so if no one's going to buy your game on the Xbox platform, why produce it for it? Especially since it costs money and time to do those things. So all these games that they announced today at this show, like, it's awesome. It's awesome that we're getting these games, like to get Guilty Gear Strive and Blaze Blue and Ni no Kuni and all these other games that are coming over and have released previously on other systems, now finally making their way to Xbox, is great. But the thing about all this is that these games should have been there day and date. We shouldn't be getting excited about games that are old coming to the platform. Like Persona 5 coming to the platform. Awesome. I'm super excited to play it on my Xbox. But the fact is, it should have been there the same day it was on PlayStation. And they make it as if they're doing us a service by bringing these games over, when it is their duty and their obligation to have these games there day and date. So they shouldn't expect me to be excited about old games coming to my platform that everyone else has already played and don't care about. And this is not going to benefit you in any way, because yeah, you're adding these games to Game Pass. People that are playing these games are going to be the people in the West, and it's not going to be the people in the East, because they've already played these games. And you're adding them to Game Pass, which is great, but you're not going to... The engagement that you're going to see, that you expect to see from the Asian market, is not going to be what you expect to see, because they've already played those games. Like, they're going to load up Game Pass and see all these games like, oh, cool. Danganronpa 3 is on here. I played that on my PlayStation Vita 5 years ago. So why would I want to play it again? Oh. What they need to do is they need to be aggressive like they were with the 360 generation. In the 360 generation, in Japan alone, you had exclusive games coming from Japanese creators. You had Blue Dragon. Which was the characters and the story were all done by Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z. He went and created this story and these characters, and they made a game about it, and that's exclusive to the 360. You had Infinite Undiscovery, you had Lost Odyssey, you had 99 Nights and 99 Nights 2, and you had so many good Japanese games that were developed for exclusive purposes on the 360 to sell that console. And the only thing that really came out of this thing, out of the Tokyo Game Show, which is something that they already announced, was Wolong Fallen Dynasty coming to Game Pass day and date when the game releases next year. That is cool. That's awesome. That's great. But I already know that. You don't have to tell me again that it's coming to Game Pass. Everyone already knows that. And so them starting off the show by saying, hey, look, this game that we've already announced is coming to Game Pass is coming to Game Pass, is not something that I actually am looking forward to, because I am looking forward to it, but I want something new. This is the whole point of the show, is to show me new things that are coming. Show me, have all those games finally come over to Xbox. That's great. That's what they should be doing. You should be getting those localizations. You should be getting those games over here. And that should have already been done. But you're playing catch up right now. And you also need to be thinking ahead at the same time. So they started off with announcing Persona 5 Royale coming to Xbox Game Pass. We already knew that. And then they went into Wolong Fallen Dynasty coming to Game Pass. We already knew that. And then they went and showed Exo Primal, which is a game by Capcom that kind of gives me Dino Crisis meets Anthem meets Lost Planet vibes. And that could be a good thing, or it could be a really bad thing. I'm not sure yet. The game hasn't sold me yet. This was also announced at a previous State of Play. They showed off some really cool things. Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle and Guilty Gear Strive, both coming to Xbox and Game Pass, which is, these guys are really great with their fighting games. Arc Systems, they are some of the best in the business when it comes down to fighting games. And the fact that Xbox is sorely lacking on the fighting front, this is a great addition to the Xbox library and Xbox Game Pass. Now, these guys, Arc Systems, are best known for their work on Dragon Ball FighterZ. So if you like that, which I know a lot of people do, and some people consider one of the best fighting games of all time, then you'll probably want to check out these games. Danganronpa 3 also got a Game Pass announcement. It is available to play right now. You can go and play that. They now have Danganronpa 1, 2, and 3 in Game Pass. They're sort of a linear type experience with it's kind of a walking simulator type experience. Overwatch 2, they showed off a new character, and I don't know who cares about Overwatch anymore. That game is dead. It's going to be dead on arrival, and the fact that they're doing Overwatch 2, which is just Overwatch 1, is not... This is so fucking stupid. God damn it. This is so fucking dumb. Ayuden Chronicles coming to Game Pass. Again, we already knew this. This is already previously announced. We already have one of the Ayuden Chronicles already in Game Pass, and they are announcing that the sequel is coming to Game Pass as well, which is something that we already knew. So they like to remind you, hey, these games are coming to Game Pass. Great. Dyson Sphere. I don't even want to talk about that. Dyson Sphere program. It's coming to PC Game Pass. It looks like you just get a planet and you put things on it, and there you go. End of discussion. End of story. Assassin's Creed Odyssey coming to Game Pass. I don't know why they needed to announce that at the Tokyo Game Show, but hey, if you like Assassin's Creed, you can now play Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey in Game Pass. Whoop-de fucking do. Cool. You can also buy these games super fucking cheap. Every week, Assassin's Creed is on sale. Every week. So it coming to Game Pass is so just whatever. If you're not willing to buy Assassin's Creed Odyssey for $10 with all of its DLC, and you're just gonna wait for it to come on Game Pass, well, there you go. You should be satisfied now. Oh fuck. Fuga Melodies. Fuga? What the fuck's a Fuga? Fuga Melodies of Steel 2 is in Game Pass now. You can play it if you want to. It looks like an Advanced Wars style game. And then they ended the show, right? You end a show with a big bang. What's the big bang? Deathloop, a previously announced PlayStation exclusive, is now coming to Xbox Game Pass on September 20th. Wow! About time, right? A whole year later, we finally get it. And the fact that this is what they end the show on, it's so fucking dumb. You should be ending a show with a big banger. You look at what Nintendo Direct did with The Legend of Zelda. You look at what State of Play did with God of War. That's how you're supposed to end a show, with them saying, "Hey, Deathloop is coming to Game Pass on September 20th." A game that all of the PlayStation players have already played. Like, yeah, you get to finally play it. I'm gonna be playing it and reviewing it, so look out for that. But that's not how you end a show. That's probably how you begin a show, by showing off that, not ending it. You should be ending it with new IP. You should be ending it with a big Game Pass reveal or something. This is not big. This is something that everyone already expected. You own the IP, so I expect you to place it in Game Pass. Xbox seriously needs to get their head out of their ass and fucking do something. because I am sick and tired of this whole year of nothing going on. Halo, your flagship IP, you're treating like shit. You don't show anything at all. The only thing you shown was Starfield, and that it wasn't even shown very well. So come on, man, like get your shit together. Like, it's cool that you're making these changes in that territory, and you're bringing those games over, but that's not what we need. What we need is new experiences. What we need is better communication. And the fact is that you guys are not listening. You're not listening to us. You're not listening to anything that we are complaining about. In fact, it goes in one ear and out the fucking other into the stratosphere, where it's just unheard. And it sucks. It sucks right now. I feel like I'm probably overreacting. I probably had my expectations too high, but I expected something, and this was not that. Sadly, this was not that. I need to stop complaining. I need to just I need to get over it. There you go. I'm over it now. I'm back to being an Xbox fan. Yay, the world will continue spinning. But maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe this ID at Xbox did have some things for you. Maybe the Tokyo Game Show did have some stuff for you, and I'm just raging right now, I guess. But for me, Born of Bread stole the show with ID at Xbox. I guess the best thing for me, the one that I'm probably going to be most excited about at the Tokyo Game Show, is the Deathloop announcement, which is sad because it's something that I already expected to happen, but everything else is kind of just rehashes of news that we already knew, and then the games that they are adding to Xbox Gamepass whenever they do release should have already been on Xbox in the first place. So this show is I don't know, but maybe I'm just angry. Maybe I'm just in the mood. Maybe I'm just in the mood. What did you guys think of the events? What was your favorite announcements, and what are you looking forward to in the coming months? With that, if you like what you saw and you'd like to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be seeing you on the next one. And remember, take it easy.